And we are live. Welcome everyone to Shifting Lanes Garage. My name's Chad. That's Greg. Welcome to your weekly dose of automotive chatter. How you doing, buddy?
Good, literally in the garage, as always. So, shifting lanes, garage. I feel like the SpongeBob meme with the rainbow. Imagination, shifting lanes, garage. It's just me.
Yeah, and
I'm good. Everything's good.
I'm
Everything is
literally
wonderful.
above my garage. Like legitimately, the Mustang is below me.
That's all right. We got our cars in proximity. That's all that matters. Um, we got some pretty hilarious news for you. Honestly, there's some craziness going on. Our first story is about Rivian, the electric truck SUV.
Oh shoot! I hit the wrong button. I'm in the wrong.
Hi, now we're back.
I'm in the wrong mode. There we
Um,
go.
so stay tuned. We're going to talk about that. Also, we have some Toyota news, and I think we're probably just going to chat with you guys because that's the whole reason we do this. We're going to talk
hmm
to you because chat is fun. Chat is wonderful. Chad is great, but chat is also
It's
great.
like, um, but
How are you,
I'm good.
sir?
I am just recently recovering from a pitched battle with my computer. Uh, I was, if you notice, if you're anyone who's over on YouTube or anything like that, you will notice that there's no thumbnail tonight. And as I was trying to make said thumbnail, it
It
was
happens.
yeah. So yeah. Um,
What's up, Steve? Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining as always. Appreciate you guys and appreciate all of you that do support us. Steve is in our supporter group called Shift Squad. It gives us a couple extra bucks to help create great content for you guys. So welcome to all of our supporters as always. Thank you guys. And all of our star senders as well. Thank you guys. You guys are wonderful. Steve asks, is Liqui worth it for my Honda? Yes, Liqui is a wonderful company that makes very good petroleum products. You should get their oil immediately and put it directly into your car, not in your face. That would make you sick.
right. I mean, not to disagree with Greg off the bat, but all they do is make good looking hats. No, I'm kidding. Liqui Moly is like they're great products. I mean, let me put it this way:
They're top tier.
if it's got a name attached to it, usually pretty decent.
Yeah.
And
Good evening, Doug. Welcome.
Doug, the leader of chat.
That's right. So let's get right into this because this is one I really want to talk about because it kind of outlines a lot of the absurdity of not um not necessarily EVs, but just modern car design because it's just funny. So, Chad, if you would be so kind as to pull up the image that I sent you, or the article that I sent you about the Rivian. For those of you that are watching that don't know what Rivian is, they are an electric vehicle car brand that makes right now just a truck and an SUV. And there's a bunch in the news about them right now. Mostly is that they are losing $33,000 for every single vehicle they produce, which is a metric ton of money. However, they do have a plan to be profitable, but I say that first because
However,
of
they
what
do
you're now
plan at
seeing
some
on
point in their
screen.
life at they do plan at some point running the business to actually make money.
Yes, the whole reason for starting a business to make more money, not to just give it away. Um, so what you're seeing here is a Rivian R1T. You can see it by the badge there on the bottom left of the tailgate. And what you're seeing is a nice big left rear impact of some kind. I didn't read the article enough to know what exactly happened, but
Things.
this is, yeah, things obviously backed into a pole, got hit by a car, whatever. There is a rear left quarter panel collision here. Now, what you would think is a fairly basic repair. Maybe it looks like a light, some body mold or some body cladding, the actual quarter panel itself. Looks like a pretty straightforward kind of fix. However, what you're looking at is $40,000 worth of damage.
That is that's like the stupidest thing I've ever. Why?
I
What
cannot even.
is the bed made out of unobtainium? Like
So here
it's a
is the
pick.
explanation. If you could bring up another image of the R1T from the side, that would be a huge help. Just because it's very easy to explain once you see the truck from the side. Now, any image is fine. Yeah, perfect. That one in the white, great. So if you look at this angle, wow, that's weird. Oh, there we go. So if you look at this angle, right, you see the back left, but look at how there are no seams on this car, right? There are no seams because
Except for that one.
that entire panel
That one right there.
goes up and into the roof. That whole quarter panel is connected to the roof. So everything you see there, that one seam that kind of bisects the the arch of the left-hand side of the arch there, that's the first seam you see because that quarter panel goes all the way through the truck bed, up the back paneling and up the back glass and the whole roof line. That entire thing is one panel, and that just sort of gives you an idea of like what modern car design is a little bit too, because nothing is just like swap in, swap out, especially on EVs. They are trying to make these things so sleek. They're trying to make these things so streamlined and easy, quote unquote, that they've gone ahead and connected the roof to the rear left quarter panel and rear right quarter panel, obviously, too. So, yeah, that's why. It's 40 grand because you got to work on the freaking roof. Like, are you serious? What terrible design.
So, couple of things. Pick just like my thoughts on this. I mean, number one, that is moronic in every sense of the word. Hear me out. Why do you get a truck? Because you plan on putting things in it. So therefore, what are you most likely to dent? The bed or near the bed.
Right.
Number one. Number two, a seam that went from here, like if you go to the rear door handle to right here, where these kind of
Mm-hmm.
tee, a seam that went from
Yeah.
here to here would look a hell of a lot better than whatever the crap they were thinking with this like vanity panel. The only
Yeah.
what is there? I don't know enough about the design of this. My only
So,
thought is that from an engineering perspective, there's something in this area where you need access to.
so I can tell you exactly what that is. And what's in that is nothing. It is what is called the access tunnel or storage tunnel, but literally it's a tunnel for storage. There's nothing there. You open it up and you can put like stuff there. It's just extra storage because this is the truck version. That panel and those seams don't exist on the SUV version of this. So because this is the truck version, you sort of push a button inside on the big screen. That door, it's actually a door, it opens up and it's a total tunnel. You can actually crawl through it. I believe, I want to say Road and Track actually did it, where Kristen Lee, the journalist from Road and Track, formerly of Jalopnik, actually crawled through it. Like she actually fit through the whole thing, I want to say. Um, it is definitely
I
a
mean,
cool feature,
that kind of
but it is totally unnecessary.
makes sense. But if we're doing that, I would rather see them have like again a line that bisected it. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, when you're designing something like this, you should be actively thinking of repair, right? No
Yes.
car company in the history of cars have made more like, and I'm talking production. I'm not talking like one-offs or anything. I'm talking cars built in significant volume.
Yeah.
You shouldn't think that there should be, and not for nothing, this could have been a part of the design as well. But they should sell sections of this. So if let's
Yes.
say you're at a ball field and you get a dent here, this section, this vertical section can be purchased. Then from here over that whole section, and then you have the guys at the
Yep.
body shop cut out the bad metal weld in the new good metal. Now I understand that thin sheet metal and what was likely aluminum, if I'm guessing here, is tricky to weld when it's thin in body shape. I get that, but but either way, filler, boom, done, looks fine. The fact that it is all
Right.
integrated,
And if you have removable panels, you can just remove the panel and slap a new one in if you really wanted to. It's a great
you
idea.
know, like it shows to me this is an illustration, and we do have a couple comments in chat I wanted to kind of touch on at some point. Um, Anthony, what's up, buddy? But to me, this exemplifies everything that is wrong with electric car design and philosophy, and
Hmm.
is arguably one of the bigger problems with electric cars. Once you get past the fact that, shit we've talked about, infrastructure, charging the fuckers, range, all this other sort of stuff. The fact that if you put it, whatever the bed capacity of this is, I can't imagine it's too much, but how it has a pretty adverse effect on range and stuff. All that stuff has been pretty well documented. But it all kind of started with Tesla. It's the idea of design, right? Like, we're gonna, Elon famously didn't want people, or rejected ideas that were seen as too conventional or had been done, and
Yeah.
like all that stuff. But guess what? To make a car, like, how does Toyota make their millions every year? It's not from selling a shit ton of Supras. It's from selling a crap ton of RAV4s, Camrys, Corollas,
Hmm.
Highlanders, Tundras. It's the consumer stuff. So
Yeah.
you're applying a design ethos that is reserved for your low production run cars that don't make you much money to something that you have an electric pickup truck. What do you think people are going to do with it? Now, I understand. I guess you put a ski rack on your bed because, God forbid, you put anything over 2 feet tall in the back. But they need to
Hmm.
get it through their thick head, and I think this comes back to a conversation, or a topic we've talked about before. Is why, like, a company like Lucid gets it. I mean, granted, their first vehicle was a sports sedan, a luxury sports sedan, which again isn't a masses type vehicle. But
Well,
the
not anymore.
CEO of that company came from Tesla. So he learned all the good and all the bad. And he said,
Right.
guess what? You don't need to have some space age material for an interior. You know what people like? Leather.
Right. Exactly.
You don't need to have a menu and a sub menu to adjust your door mirrors with little knobs on the
Right.
steering wheel
You need a
and stuff like
button.
that. Like, all that's, you don't need a 27-inch display or whatever, however big it is. You don't need any of that stuff. That's all
Yeah.
great talking points. And honestly, it's what creates buzz and hype, and most of that's within our industry as far as journalists and stuff. It's like, wow, look at this. It's never been done before. Again, why? Why hasn't nobody done it before?
Yeah.
Because guess what? There's a reason. And again, to make money, you have to appeal to the masses and have a price point to the masses. And at that point, you have to have stuff that they're used to. You can't go from a car as we know it, right? And then have so much stuff different and expect it to do well. This is
Yeah.
number two. And then
Uh,
last thing I'll say, and it just kind of circles back to the panel conversation, is I would like to see what the body shop said about it, because the body shop should have been able to cut the bad metal out.
yeah. I mean, they probably could have, but I would imagine that there's a ton of electronics stuff in this thing, and they probably didn't know a lot about it. That is my guess. Again, I need to look at the article a little bit more in depth, but I mean, it is what it is. They $1,000 repair, and at the end of the day, I mean, what Anthony said, he says he doesn't care. It's a cool truck. I agree. It's an insanely cool truck. I would love to own one of these. The problem is they're up near 100 grand, fully loaded. And two, if they have this kind of price point for fixes just with minor body damage, that is super. It's a huge turnoff because I mean, if you have the money to buy one of these, you probably have the money to fix it. But $40,000 is almost. I mean, if you bought the base model of this, that fender bender is over half the cost of your truck.
Well, that's the other thing too, right?
That's
Like
insane.
that's the other thing too, right? Like what's like one of the things that we're constantly being told by um like electric car, I don't want to call them lobbyists, but like people who are trying to sell the idea of an electric car, right? Oh, you only have two or three moving parts. It's so much simpler than an internal combustion engine, blah blah blah. And like in a lot of
Yeah.
respects it is, in a lot of respects it's massively more complicated.
Yeah. Mechanically, that is correct.
Right? Well, I mean, but like 40K if someone dings you. I now
Yeah.
know what like and not for nothing. The fact that this comes out, I got to imagine like it's $100,000 truck. Okay, that's expensive. But 40K, that 40% of the value of the vehicle is in one piece. Like not for so correct me if I'm wrong here, but if the whole thing goes up, like is there a roof panel in the middle and then that delineates the other side, or are they literally replacing both sides of the truck?
No, it's there's a roof panel in the middle. It's basically look for the top down. Look for the top down image, because there is a roof panel, um, in the middle. I believe it's like a sunroof or whatever. But yeah, like there is like yeah, there you go. There's a front piece. There's a glass panel, and then there's those two strips on the side. So you're replacing one of those strips essentially up to the A pillar. If you're going to replace the whole thing.
That is
It's still absurd. It's way more than is needed. So, at any rate,
hold
it is
on,
a
hold,
lot.
hold on.
It's a lot to replace.
And in that case, why not get your frickin' body lines by just having this hang over instead of? Oh, it's so like I said, it's so
I know.
dumb.
It's
The
very
way these
frustrating.
designers are trying to reinvent, sort of like, what's the appeal of the Rivian RT1? Is the fact that it kind of looks like a normal mid-sized truck. The headlights are a little
Yes.
goofy, but that's the thing. So like, you got the design brief on the overall look of it, but then those, well, what if we made this all one piece? Like,
Yeah.
just no. Like, I get it.
I know.
It's a unibody pickup, but it's just here's the other thing. I bet you insurance costs on this motherfucker are gonna go through the roof.
Oh, 100%.
Just think of
I
it.
mean, you can't put in a $40,000 claim and not expect premiums to go through the roof.
Well, let's just say hypothetically, you get hit on one side, it dents that in, and it just so happens to hit something on the other side,
Right.
dents that in. No, it's an $80,000. That could total the vehicle when. Yeah, it's just,
Yeah. And they said the body shop wanted to or the insurance wanted to total it out
right. But I mean,
for that.
they, that's.
I know. It's
D-
literally absurd.
Doug goes on in chat. The first truck, Seamless, Rancheros, El Caminos, Rampage Scamp, first gen Ridgeline, none of them they had this problem with repair. I mean, I totally get that, but you're also talking about Ford, Chevy, Dodge, essentially.
Yeah.
And
They sort of know what they're doing.
they sort of know what they're doing, and B, you're talking about like having the foresight for volume. I
Right.
don't know how many RT1s are sold in this country every year. It can't be a lot in comparison to, say, like, a Ranger or a Maverick or a Taco or any of that sort of
Oh,
stuff.
no, it's not even close
Right.
because it's way more money and they just started. So they'll ramp up, but it won't be anywhere close to that.
Anywho, Mark with it.
Yeah.
Doug, Imperial starting at 61, not how long. Used the seamless front clips. So both fenders were attached to the metal that went between the hood and the grill. Caught my eye when I saw it, but there might be others like that too. I mean, here's the thing.
What was that?
That's my phone somehow falling from. I didn't realize that that's where it was. And the best part is I have to wait until
Nice.
next week until my rock form case comes in. So my
Yeah.
first test. Um, like and this, I think I'll wrap it up with the fact it's like if companies designing EVs don't get it through their thick head that yes, there is a market for people who want new and sort of futuristic looking design,
Right.
but that's a significantly smaller percentage of the people who are just buying it because they want an EV or like something conventional and things like that. And like I said, I keep going back to Lucid because they innovated with their motor technology and all this other stuff and maximize stuff people do every day.
Yeah.
Even though it's like the size of an E-Class, it has more room in it than an S-Class. Uh, it has a frunk and a trunk where like the Mercedes EQS had like I think the EQS if you literally have to unbolt the hood, not unlatch it, unbolt it.
Yeah. Dumb.
And stuff like that. Like, and that's Mercedes doing that. But like Mercedes fell into the trap of, oh God, we got to compete with the Tesla. Let's make something even more futuristic. But here's the bottom line.
Right.
Go back 20, 30, 40, 50 years and look at what the prediction of the future was and look at
Yeah.
how absolutely appallingly terrible every time you try to predict the future, the concept is ugly.
Yeah. I mean, it's very interesting because like the thing I do like about the Rivian is that the design in the repair respect is absurd. Like that there's no reason why seams can't be all over the place and still look good. Um but like it's a truck that doesn't look like an alien space frog. And I like that because not just because it's an EV doesn't mean it has to look futuristic. It doesn't have to look insane. But that's what all of them think right now because they need to stand out.
Right. Well, that
And they don't want this like, oh, it's just another car. But you know what? It's the sitcom story. People don't want new and exciting. People want the same story over and over and over again. It's been that way since sitcoms from the 1960s and 50s and stuff. People want to watch the same thing, just in different ways. Like, and yeah, in a way, it kind of is, but like, you don't have to make it look super futuristic. And that's what I do like about the Rivian. Like those headlights that you mentioned before, those aren't even the headlights. Those are the daytime running lamps. It's just a unique way of doing that, which a lot of people don't like. I think they're kind of cool looking. That's like the most futuristic thing about the outside looks of the truck. Otherwise, it just looks like a modern truck to me.
yeah, and that's
And
part of the appeal
it
of
just
it is it's modern
right.
and like here's the thing, right? If we've talked about potentially electric vehicles sort of plateauing in sales or slowing down in sales, like what was it like 5 years ago? They were like 1 or 2% of market share, and now they're up to like 14 or 15% of market share.
It's like 18 now.
Right. So almost 1 in 5 cars sold now are electric,
Right.
which is nuts. But like the thing is that if that's slowing, if that is slowing down, I believe it's because you're getting to the segment of now people are buying electric vehicles as luxury items, right?
Right.
Most of the ones that get the press and stuff, it's like because not for nothing, even if you scale it all the way down to like a Nissan Leaf, the same size vehicle is 5 to 10 grand cheaper, right? So like you're
Yeah.
buying the Leaf because you want the size, and you're overpaying because you want the luxury of electric or whatever. If they want anyone like that's why like the F-150 Lightning, which is going through its own fucking issues at this moment in time, was good because it
Right.
didn't reinvent the wheel. It looked like an F-150. It had some little kitschy things that made you know it was different just enough, but it was just like an
Right.
F-150. And
But it can be identified as an F-150. Like I look at it, I'm like, yep, that's a Ford F-150. Got it.
and so it's just, if electric car sales want to increase, if they want more market share, well then I'm sorry, ditch the, and I guarantee you the person who's responsible for that design and like the seamless design, the flowing lines, interrupted by a dead body carrier from how you explained it. That interruption is not something you normally see on a pickup truck. Like, let me see if I can pull it up again. That this interruption is not something you see in typical trucks,
No.
so it immediately throws your eye off. So the clean line is
Unless it's going to be like another door of some kind. And usually that's the cab door, which you can clearly see there's a cab door. So what the hell's that third thing? So yeah, it's odd.
right. So like they need to get it through their thick head that like there are people out there that would absolutely buy an electric car if it just was normal and it was
Yeah.
within a certain percentage of its equivalent ICE car.
Yeah. Great example of that. Volvo XC40. There is a Volvo XC40 EV called the Recharge. Looks just like an XC40, different grille. People love them. They're great. They have decent range. They don't have like insane range. It's in like the 200s or whatever, but it has like 400 something horsepower
What's
on
the
a
price
small
difference?
little. That I don't know. Doug can tell me because he works at Volvo and sells both of those cars. So the price difference, Doug, if you will, between a regular XC40, fully loaded, and an XC40 Recharge, if you don't mind. But yes, as far as design is concerned, they are literally the same. They look the same. The grille is different. That is it.
All right.
Around 12K. So 12K difference in a fully loaded versus an EV. And in the fully loaded, you cannot get a metric ton of power like that for a small SUV. Usually they don't come with power because they're just commuter cars, and no one wants a 400 horsepower small SUV. However, a 400 horsepower small SUV sounds fantastic to me, and I will take many of them. Uh, but is it worth 12K? I don't know. For me, probably not. But the looks are the same. Same as you can identify that as oh cool, that's a Volvo XC40, same as the Ford F-150 Lightning. You know what that is.
All right. So uh I'm just checking
Yeah, there you
something.
go. Doug, more information, but you can lease and still get $7,500 lease and just buy it out. And 400 horsepower versus 250 horsepower. So it's a pretty big power difference.
Yeah.
Plus the instant torque of electric is, I mean, that will win every single time.
So I saw it. I guess they may have deleted the comment. I saw someone uh huh. I just
What?
got distracted. I saw a comment, something about the. I'm sorry if it's still here and I'm just not seeing it. I apologize, whoever did it. But someone mentioned that you can get a Nissan Leaf for $35,000. Yeah, you can get an equivalent car from say Mazda or Chevy or whoever.
Oh, I see it. It's on I believe it's on YouTube. It's on the main chat on
Oh,
the
okay.
on you can see it on the Skype call. Yes, Connor is that Connor Secondino? I really hope I pronounced your name correctly. But yes, Connor, welcome to the stream. You've been a long time supporter. Appreciate you hopping on and chatting with us, man. He got his Leaf for $3,500. Yeah, I mean that's fine. Um, I mean if you can get a cheap EV like that as a in town runabout, that that is an oh yeah, 3,500, not 35,000. Yeah, so if you can get a 100-mile range EV for around town things for $3,500, that is absolutely fantastic. And that is where an EV makes so much sense to me. If you can get it cheap and it's not like insanely old, the battery pack still has a lot of charge, and you're only going to use it around town, That to me makes so much sense.
Right.
I would get
And the
that.
point I was making is if you look at like MSRP, like buying something new, and 35
Yeah,
grand, 35,000 for a Leaf, which I believe is what their sticker price is. Um,
3,500.
no, no, no. A Leaf, $35,000 for one brand new. You're not
Oh,
walking into it.
brand new, brand
If they
new.
were 3,500, one out of every three cars you saw in New York City would be a Leaf. Um,
Yeah, probably.
and they'd have rolling blackouts. But
Yeah, yes.
the point I was making is if you take new to new, used car market is the used car market. It's kind of it ebbs and flows, and a lot of values in the used car market is more um, demand driven than attempting to sell a shit ton of them.
Yeah,
Case in
true.
point, Volvo C30s, a car that hasn't been around in years. Good ones are fetching 10, 15, $20,000, right? It's because people want them and there's not a
Yeah,
lot of them.
yeah.
Like, so the used car market can be fickle. New to new, actually, you know what? I'll do the responsible automotive journalist thing.
Look up prices of Nissan Leafs right now.
But like, I mean, Nissan Leaf starts at about $2,800 or $28,000. So
Okay,
that's still
which quite frankly isn't bad.
that's not bad at all. But equivalent Honda, Mazda, um, I mean, you're knocking on the door of golf money
Yeah.
for for that. Um, but like 20, a lot of these other ones are starting right around 23,000. So like, okay,
Hmm.
the 10K isn't exact across the board, but you can see the scale. The point I'm trying to make is that if you're looking for a car of that size, right? Is it worth it to
Yeah.
save? Like, how much money are you going to realistically save on gas? Versus, is it worth a $7,000 to $8,000 premium on the vehicle itself?
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting here
You know,
saying that it isn't. I'm simply saying that that is a case to case, because at that point, it's a commuter vehicle. You're basically doing it to um, effectively, if you own it for 5 years, annual fuel cost is X. You're just hoping that X
mm,
is more than the initial purchase price, right? And at that point, you've
right.
made out. Um,
Right. It's an interesting test case actually because and I've said this on stream before. And I also see that we have like a bunch of people watching on YouTube. So welcome and thank you for watching on YouTube. I really hope you guys stick around and please consider chatting with us. That's the whole reason we do this is to talk to you guys. Um, I really, it's an interesting case because my use case for an EV makes a lot of sense because I don't take a lot of crazy trips. I go drop off the kids at school. I pick up the kids at school. I maybe go to the grocery store a couple times a week if we need this, that, and the other thing. I might run to Lowe's or Home Depot to pick an odd or end up. I don't really do a lot of big hauls. Um, and if I do, I just use my wife's XC90 for like mulch or dirt or whatever. Just because of cargo space. I've done it in this too, in the Polestar. But uh, honestly, for like a Nissan Leaf makes a lot of sense for someone like me. I'm doing a lot of around town trips, and I don't drive very far. So it would be a very interesting thing to do, maybe own one for the channel for a year and just daily it and if it's an effective thing for someone in a rural community like I am or Chad, you and I are, to do that because for those that are like so hung up on the range anxiety, the Leaf does not have a lot of range. I want to say it's like 100 miles, like at best. I think in more modern ones have more range. I think like 150 or so, but it's still not a lot, right? The one that Connor owns, he said he owns one from 2013. Those I think are rated for like 80 to 100 miles. But again, I'm not driving 80 to 100 miles a day. I work from home. Like I literally just drop the kids off and then pick them up most days. And that's really it. Maybe I'm going to the coffee shop to get a cup of coffee, work there for a change of scenery. Really all I do, quite
I mean,
frankly.
not
Um,
not for nothing. This is your commuter sports car argument.
Right, exactly. This is the same argument that I made. Like, you have a commuter car and then you have a sports car to complement that. And no, you can and it's not, at least for me it's very different, or for us it would be very different because we're utilizing those cars to create content. For a general consumer, having this two car solution for an enthusiast at least makes a ton of sense. Get your kickable to drive around town, whatever that may be, and then you have your sports car. Especially if you're paying under 10 grand for your commuter car that's going to be reliable and you don't have a lot of extra costs on it. A Nissan Leaf makes a lot of sense if you're not driving a lot because what are your costs on a Nissan Leaf, right? Charging, which is not very expensive, tires, which you don't buy every year at all, brakes, which you don't replace every year at all. Um, what else? Like general maintenance, there's nothing really else there. There's not a lot. Maybe if something goes wrong in the electronics, but I don't really know what the reliability is from that perspective for a Nissan Leaf. So I don't
The
know.
big thing on the
A
used, the
cheap
big
commuter car plus cool sports car, a Leaf plus F-Type sounds real freaking good, quite frankly.
right. I mean, the big thing there is right. Like it's the expense of like the batteries, you know, needing replacing. Right. Like it's like I've spent nothing, 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 nothing. Wait, this is total car, but like up.
Sure.
Let me put it to you this way, right? Like, I mean, and not for nothing, like 100 miles is your daily commute sorted on average.
Yeah, easily.
You know,
And here's
not
the
your
thing about
personally.
my kids' school. Um, my kids are, let's just say for this argument, 6 and 4, right? One of them is in kindergarten, one of them is in preschool. Next year, they are both in kindergarten, and the elementary school is literally on the other side of my neighborhood. I could walk there in 10 minutes. I can drive there in 1.5. I've timed it. It is it is literally it is literally 2 miles from my house to drive. Not even actually. It is 1.2 miles to drive to the elementary school. And I would then come home and work. So like I would get if I were to do this, I would get a Nissan Leaf and I probably wouldn't have to charge it up all week. The only reason I put miles on this car is one to go to car things, two to drive around for the coffee shop because I like going to coffee shops and traveling to them. But like I mean for this, I mean I fill this car up once every week and a half, 2 weeks. I do not spend a ton on gas for this car. And I mean for a Nissan Leaf with a very small battery pack, I probably would charge it once a week, maybe,
Yeah.
if that.
So I did some looking. The average commute for an American is 27 and a half minutes, which roughly
Hmm.
correlates to about 20 and a half miles one way. So 41
Okay.
miles round trip daily.
Which makes sense because the US is big and there's a ton of people that live rurally that uh that don't live like in places like we do in northern Jersey where a lot of stuff is close and even stuff here is pretty kind of spread out. Or in the city like New York, Dallas, LA, Minneapolis, whatever. The cities are pretty close together. You're not driving a lot of distance, right? Um, but a ton of Americans do live in places where you need to commute 20 to 30 to 40 minutes, right?
I'm sorry, did you ask me a question? I wasn't paying attention.
No, I'm just saying, like
Oh,
the 27 makes sense. 27 sounds about right for this country because you think about it also like from a UK perspective, I would imagine the average driving distance there time wise is going to be less. My guess would be 15 to 20.
Right. I mean, now you're starting to dive into a much more utilized public transportation network.
Correct. Yeah.
Um,
Europe is a much more public transportation friendly
I mean,
continent.
here's the thing. Like Doug said, it, range anxiety is a really silly thing for the majority of people. It is. It's just, it's one of those things, and this is the part I understand it. I do get it. It is, you know, it's not necessarily the I am or I will do this. It's the
Yeah.
I can't do this that gets a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, and I get that.
And I do, and again, I do understand that sort of thing. I mean, I was just looking at it. The market on used Leafs is kind of interesting. Like what?
Yeah, what are some of the prices? Bring them up.
So this is just in my area. Um, so it looks like 23 495 is the highest. That's with 18,000 miles. But one with
Okay.
less miles is cheaper. I'm guessing this a lot of it comes down to options. But what I am like 60 16.5 for 10,000 miles, you know, 6,400 for 35,000 miles. Like to see that
It's
usually
like no miles.
kind of price drop is either due to like other things we can't see like accident history, repair, etc. But like usually that's like reserved for like 30,000 miles on a normal car to like 150,000 miles on that car. Like
Right. 35,000 miles is basically a new car these days. Like that's crazy. Are there any accidents on it?
no issues reported, no accident.
4 owners, that's it.
I wonder if it was a fleet car.
It should say. It would say under the ownership.
It just says 4 previous owners. I can't actually.
Yeah, right under there is usually where it says fleet. So no, it was not a fleet operated thing. And if there's 4 owners, usually it's not a fleet vehicle. Um, that's crazy. Like they're
Oh,
weird looking. They are
well,
not
it looks
great
like you
looking
got a
cars.
$40,000.
Oh, there's body
Looks like
damage.
you got a
Okay.
$40,000 repair right there.
Look, that ain't no Rivian. What's the inside look like? I'm curious. Or does it have any interior
Doesn't.
pics? No. Still, I mean, look, $6,400 for something. I mean, for 2012, I would imagine it's probably lost some range. So let's say that's a 70-mile range car, maybe 60. I don't know. That's not bad, quite frankly. It really isn't.
I'm curious. Just
Talk about an interesting winter beater for you.
never.
That actually makes a lot of sense because you don't really have a commute either. Um,
Oh,
you just kind of need a runabout, right? It's not like you
electric.
need a shit ton of range.
Electric. Oh, I don't know. $55,000 car gurus, and you can buy my car. Um, what? Okay, those wheels. I'm getting distracted. 100%, 100%. Yes, like that makes something like that makes a shit ton of uh,
Sense.
sense. But like,
Do you want one is the issue, and that's probably a hard
that's a
no.
pretty.
Anthony, it's a weird little golf cart. Yeah, it's 100% what this thing is. It 100% is a weird little golf cart. Yeah, I've actually driven one, Connor. They have trees for an economy gauge. Yeah, because it's supposed to be like green and whatever. Like, I mean, they're definitely weird and funky looking. Like, I don't enjoy the looks that much, but it's not bad. There are definitely uglier cars out there. Um, and it's not like again,
Why
it's
can't
you
why can't
if
auto
you're
manufacturers
buying this.
just, for the love of God, make a shifter or a set of buttons up for park, mid, like
I
like
know, I
down for
know. Look
neutral,
at that. That's
right
so
for
stupid
reverse.
looking.
Like you remember the original shifter in the Prius?
Oh yeah, I know because Kate had a Prius, a second gen Prius,
Uh,
for years, many years, and it's to this day one of the most infuriating things I've ever had to deal with. My God, so annoying.
like, oh fuck, I don't want to do that. There we go.
Yeah. Oh God,
Why?
I have freaking PTSD from freaking just looking at that picture. Good
It's
God.
like it's
Park
and and
button up
and
top.
the stupidest thing is that this looks like uh, it's an updated one. Originally, it would default to
Hmm.
center. So it's like,
Yes.
am I in drive? And there's
So
always input lag on like these devices, which that's fine.
yes,
But it's
100%.
like,
And so the first time I ever drove a Prius was actually in Utah. I flew out to see Kriston and a bunch of the Utah crew that we were friends with out there, right? And bring that picture back up because I want to talk about exactly what happened. So I get in the car and Kristen's like, "Yeah, the keys are just in there. It's in the Cornerstone parking lot. Cornerstone's the flight company that they owned." And basically they're like, "Yeah, yeah, like just get the key, put it in that little slot. You can see it right there off to the left. Put the key in the slot, and then you're good to go. Just drive." And I'm in there for I'm not I shit you not 30 minutes trying to figure out how to get this car to go. I'm pressure, nothing's happening. I'm shifting into like all these gears, nothing's happening. There's no way I knew like I figured out how to turn it on, but nothing worked. And I to this day I don't know what happened, but I just shut the car off, like got out of it, walked away, waited for 2 minutes, walked back, came back in, did the same thing, and it worked. And I just shifted it into drive, and I went away. And I don't know if it was an electric thing, but like I think it was the shifter because I shifted it into drive, but it didn't say drive on the center control panel. It was horrible, worst experience, worst shifter, and I'm like, and I drove it up from Salt Lake up to Park City because that's where they were, and I'm like, this is the worst car ever made. And
uh huh.
as I drove my wife's, I actually came to find the car fine to drive around town. It felt like a death trap on the highway or any other time, and it had no cruise control either. So I'm like, this car sucks, and I was so happy when we sold that and got the CRV. But man, what an absolute nightmare that shifter is.
Uh, oh man, I can't find it. It's lame.
Yeah, Connor, Priuses are weird, except the new one. Yeah, agree. The new one looks awesome. Best looking Prius ever
Um,
by a country
I
mile.
had similar experience. I used to work in enterprise. We used to get these a, a bit. Toyota actually did this sort of in certain areas, like rural areas
Mm,
specifically. They would give rental fleets, or not give, but basically the discount would be applied, so to speak, so that the rental fleets would get the Prius and stuff, just get people driving them. So I drove a
yeah.
decent amount of them. And the thing that pissed me off is that it obviously there's no engine that starts. It's either on or it's off. But there's no big like there needs like for me I always thought like there needs to be
Right.
a big light that says on
Yes.
because like
Yeah.
I would hit the
Agree.
button and like it was funny because like you'd hit the button thinking electric car, you just hit it like you would, you know, a switch on any other electronic device or anything, right? And
Hmm.
you would hit it, it wouldn't turn on. So I would hit it, go in it, nothing happens. Go, nothing happens. Nothing happens. All right. You press
Yeah.
and hold it like you would to start it, like you would on a gas powered car to start the engine. Well, guess what? You need in a gas powered car, you need to have that starter engaged to actually get it to turn over, other than just like a one tap click. It used to drive me nuts. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I've wanted to go back and look at like old shifting lanes content. Um, but I haven't been able to find it because like I legitimately wrote an article about that generation of Prius as being nature's D student.
Oh, yeah. I forget it. I remember that article. Yeah, that's hilarious. Um, yeah, I don't know. Let's get off of the topic of Priuses and electric vehicles because we've gone on quite the rant here. But let's stay on Toyota because I have a very interesting topic for you. And good news! The 2024 Toyota 4Runner is here, and there's one change from the last version.
Pins and needles, Gregson.
C-
Pins and needles.
Care to venture a guess as to what the change is, Chad?
Um, hybrid. No, I'm kidding. Um,
No.
I mean, the one singular change. Well, given that any other major change, like if they did the engine, they'd probably have to redo the suspension. Like blah blah blah. Like, right.
Right.
Um, I'm gonna guess it's something weird, like an interior color, paint color, wheels, something where like there's one extra option.
That is correct. The change is a paint color, and it is called Terra, and it is only available on the TRD Pro. That's it. That's the whole change. The car is exactly the same, other than a paint color on the TRD Pro. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because one, the 4Runner is a great truck, and I can call it a truck because it's body on frame. SUV, obviously. The Tacoma is gone. This is still based on the old Tacoma and 4Runner platform. That is the color. Sort of like a dark terracotta, which is quite frankly a very cool color. You don't see this color literally anywhere.
I see it on my
And
toilet every morning.
yes, other than your toilet, which also gross, graphic.
Not you're never
Um,
gonna look at a Forerunner the same ever again.
I'm never gonna look at you the same because now I know that this is your poop color, which is just weird.
Yeah.
Um, Yuck City. It is a great color because it's not grayscale. It's not another black. It's not another gray. It's not another white. It's not another silver. It's an actual color, which is very cool. Um, but I mean, it's the same truck basically. You know, this is the only thing you can't get this color anywhere else. But the whole reason I mention this is because they just brought out a new Tacoma, and this thing is going to get totally redesigned either in 2026 or sorry, either in 2025 or 2026. And guaranteed, because they sell a lot of them, they're going to make it look like the Tacoma, just in an SUV version. So if you want a 4Runner that's new, now's your time to get it because this is the last time they're going to have this body style, which has not been redesigned in full since 2009. There was a refresh done in 2014. They did a front fascia refresh in 2014, and that's basically been this is a 10-year old design essentially what you're looking at. But the whole reason I bring this up is because I have a very hot take for you to react to.
Go on.
In my estimation, this is the best SUV ever made. Do you agree or disagree, and why?
Hmm.
And
So
I'm talking
so
about this 4Runner from 2009 to now.
okay.
This generation of 4Runner is the best SUV ever made.
Uh, define best.
Um, I mean, in any definition of that word, longevity, reliability, looks, tech, uh, prowess, off-road capability, um, uh, value retention, and overall desire for the vehicle itself. I mean, there's 8 categories right there. This, I believe, is the best SUV ever made overall.
Um,
In if you're taking an average count of all categories, I believe this generation of Toyota 4Runner is the best SUV ever made.
so, um, this is actually going to be a little bit longer than just a no, you're wrong, and here's why. Number
And that's why I brought it up
number
this
one,
way.
number one. If I needed a midsize SUV, this would be the one I'm buying. Um,
Yeah. Same Z's.
uh, because you can get the
Same thing.
TRD package and everything. You get an incredibly capable vehicle. The SUV I want right now, currently on sale, and that I can remember from the last, we'll just say my driving life, so last 18 years,
Hmm.
is the Raptor Bronco. Like, that's the one I want the most. But
Right, right.
realistically speaking, like one of these as a TRD Pro is significantly more attainable, and they have a pretty substantial aftermarket. The Forerunner name is important, and to tell you why, I have to talk about the original Bronco. So when the original Bronco came out, you had stuff like the International Scout, and then like the Jeeps and stuff. But basically, you had a bunch of GIs coming home who liked their Jeeps, but decided that I'd like it be able to go on like one of these newfangled interstates without it sounding like it's going to rattle itself to pieces. Without this, so like a more compliant on-road ride, right? Like this sort of thing. Um, because the Lada Niva is more appealing looking. I mean, if you want Soviet technology as a vehicle, go for it. That's not a political statement. That's just a quality statement. At any rate, so cars like the Bronco showed people that comfort can be in this package. Well, comfort, relatively speaking, for the day, right? And then Chevy came along with
Right,
like the
right.
K5 Blazer. I think it was the K5. But Chevy came along with their original Blazer and just smoked everyone because turns out people wanted to put a lot of people and stuff in these new things. Fast forward to to the 80s. Toyota didn't really they had the FJ, but they didn't really have a SUV per se in the sense that we know it. Like I define an SUV as the Ford Explorer, the original Explorer. Like that's the
Well,
thing
yeah, I
that
mean that's really the original like mass market SUV, sure.
that kind of exploded the market. But this Forerunner, that Explorer, they're not here without like cars like the Bronco. They're not here in as much numbers if it wasn't for the Forerunner. What What do you mean? Glad you asked.
What do you mean, Chad?
So the birth of the
What do you
Forerunner
mean?
is one of the most interesting automotive stories I think out there. Um, in that we all know that the Forerunner shares a platform with the Tacoma. So there, I think it was in Ohio. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly where, but that's neither here nor there to the point of the story. There was a Toyota dealership that was seeing some success of these like SUVs and stuff, and noticed like, well, we have all these Tacomas. I wonder. So they took the Tacomas over to like across the street, right? Like it was in town to the local RV manufacturer, and they built a body to go on the bed and like an interior and stuff. And that was the birth of the Forerunner. It wasn't Toyota; it was a dealer in America, being like, "Yo, I can make some money. Let's do this." So it's like
Right.
so that as far as like the best SUV, given all things considered, it's I still think that the Explorer kind of goes there in that sense. Not the current one, the original one. As far as like significance, like all the cars I've mentioned, made people think stuff's pretty cool and gave a case for everyone to build one. The
Yeah.
Explorer turned it into um, just the suburb prowess of the SUV,
Hmm.
right? Uh,
100%.
Not that I like the Explorer more because I honestly, like I said, as far as like an obtainable SUV, these things are up there for me.
Yeah.
I prefer this over it, but I think from a more significant standpoint, the Explorer is more to blame for crossovers than this.
Oh, I would agree because the Explorer is more of uh, what can be done to exploit the market um, in a way that makes people think that they need one thing, but they really don't. Like the Explorer was like, well, if you have all this space, you can haul all this stuff, you can go off road. when you need it. Also, it can haul your family around town. And it did do that. But the people that bought them never used it for those other things. They used it for hauling your family around town and having a bigger truck than a sedan. Like that was it. That
Yeah.
it was a higher ride height. It was a little bit more space than a sedan, and everyone was sold on that.
Right. And I mean, and it also goes to like up here, if people hook, line, and sinker took the better in snow. You know, how often do you drive in snow? Maybe in this area, 10 times a year, and that's pushing it. Obviously, as you get
Yeah, maybe.
further north, it becomes more of an issue, but the
Sure.
population density also drops. But
Right.
no, I mean, it looks the best. It's capable. It's an old platform. Personally, for me, if I'm being perfectly honest, unless there's some sort of new whiz bangery technology for vehicles of this type, i.e., body on frame vehicles, just change the body. You, I mean, how much more advanced are we going to get body on frame? Like I get it. Like you might want to put in there, a new shock might be developed, right? That allows for more
Hmm.
travel, but can be on road have the stiffness you require, right? Um,
Right.
you know, and everything. Like I get that you want to move points around, but like let's be real. A frame for these things is two rails, a bump so axles can get through, and a cradle for the engine, and that's it. you know,
Yeah, it's
it's
not a
not
lot.
rocket surgery, right? It's
Yeah, no. It's not a lot. And yeah, they're as far as mechanically, they're pretty basic. Unless you have like you said, something that's really gonna push the boundaries. You're looking at it. It's articulation, it's off-road prowess, and it's payload hauling. That's what body on frame vehicles do well, and towing. But anything these days can really tow. So yeah, quite frankly, as a commuter vehicle, this thing doesn't make a lot of sense because its gas mileage is not good. It's got a six-cylinder engine that's basically older than dirt.
is it still the 4 liter
Um, I think it's still the. I want to say it's a. Is it a 4 liter six?
F8?
Either way, it's the six that's been in this thing since the beginning of time.
Uh,
Um, it's
yeah.
that is the engine. I mean, I think it gets like 19 highway. It's
Well, that's
terrible.
the thing. It's an older
Um,
V6, but
right. It's indestructible.
you know, it's just like
The thing will never die.
this car's luxury brother having the 4.6 V8, the
Right,
2UZ,
exactly.
which
So,
again is older
right,
than time.
correct. Yeah. But like honestly, there isn't another vehicle produced in my opinion that can do the things that this SUV can do at the price point that it is at for bang for the buck. I mean,
Yeah, I
a
mean,
brand new TRD Pro with the Terra color, whatever the fuck it is just a shade over 56 grand. Now that seems like a lot, but an equivalently equipped Wrangler is going to be north of $60,000 now. An equivalently equipped Bronco is going to be close to $70,000. And if you want the luxury version of this, which is a Range Rover, because
Lexus
5 seat
GX.
SUV, but but no, 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 I'm not talking I'm not talking Lexus, but but sure, Lexus GX is good off road, but quite frankly, if you're looking for a off road thing that's going to do the job, Range Rover out of the box will beat basically everything out there. You're north of $150,000. So Lexus GX also very expensive, close to 80, 90, $100,000 with the same equipment. Um,
Yeah, it's a really good
this is
deal.
to
It's
me
a
this is
That's
the
the
best
thing.
the best
This is the best
SUV
time.
overall
It's the
ever
best time
made.
to buy it too because it's at the end of its life cycle. So
Correct.
it is it's as reliable as it's ever going to be, which is very,
Hmm.
you know, it's production costs are spread out, right? So
Yep.
they made so many of them that they don't have to charge a shit ton to get the whatever nut they're trying to get out of them. No, man, I'm with you. I am a fan of the Forerunner. I
Yeah.
would love to get. I think it's an. I don't like the way they look, per se, but I would love to get a four wheel drive, 2006 ish Forerunner with the V8 because
Mm.
those V
Also indestructible.
those V it's so chat knows we talk about the UZ family of V8s here a ton on the
Yeah.
channel. So like the 3UZ is a great one if you just want to sort of like drop it into something, put some headers, have a nice little 350 horsepower platform. The 1UZ is the one you want to put boost to because it can handle a pretty decent amount of power. The 2UZ, if you just is a cast iron. So the other two, the 1 and the 3 are aluminum blocks. The 2UZ is cast iron. What do we know in Toyota and cast iron engines? They hold a shit ton of power. So those things are a
Yep.
rotating assembly and a good port.
Ask me how I know. 2JZ.
Those things are a rotating assembly and a good port job on the heads away from making stupid power.
Right.
Like those blocks are right up there with the 2J in their ability to hold 1,000 plus horsepower.
Yeah.
Not that I
You
would
know what
do
would be
that.
a really interesting thing to do
V8 swap a Supra,
is
I want to do so bad.
what?
V8 swap a Mark IV Supra, I do. I want to do it so bad.
No, take a Lexus SUV, keep it totally stock, but build a V8 like in it, and just make like 1,000 horsepower, and take like a Lexus GX to the drag strip, just to absolutely screw with people, and have an 11-second Lexus GX, just the boxiest, weirdest looking thing ever, and it just shows up on Mickey Thompson's with bead lockers, and you have
How
a
many
built
trucks?
one or two used.
How many diesel trucks do we see at the strip every time we go?
Right, a bunch.
And not for nothing, if like you're an 11 second with 1,000 horsepower, I would be depressed.
No, but I'm just saying. I mean, it's heavy. That's why I said 11. Um, I mean, look, the BMW X5M is an 11-second SUV out of the box at plus 6,000 pounds. So, and it doesn't have anywhere near 1,000 horsepower. But I'm just saying, like 1,000 horsepower Lexus GX would be hysterical, and also nobody has done it. Like that would be
Yeah,
really, really funny to me. And it would also be a great build, also because nobody's done it.
it literally just
That would be
gets.
very cool.
I mean, I get where you're coming from. I would 600 off road, like make it a Raptor
Yeah.
killer.
Like a Lexus Raptor killer off road that can also run 11s.
I mean,
That would be insane.
well, not for nothing. I mean, all right. So another interesting build to do would be to find a wrecked GX, preferably one with uh, rear end damage, and just do a
Yeah.
whole front subframe swap. They have to be interchangeable,
Oh, for sure.
and um, that would be probably the in my head that would be the simplest way to do the swap. I don't know how the suspension mounts and stuff are, but either way, get that with a V8, and like I said, with those you're on stock rotating, you're gonna want to put better ported heads on it because the one downside to the UZ family is so the UZ family of engines. That's not going to be a good example. So it's really swappable because the heads are very narrow comparatively speaking to say other dual overhead cam engines. Just an example at random, the Coyote, which are
Yep.
so they're very narrow, and they do this by only having one cam gear and then having a scissor gear inside the head that turns both cams, right? Uh,
Right.
the problem to that design is they're very acute angles as far as intake. Like, for example, air coming from the intake into the chamber and then air escaping. Now, there are people who say there are simple port and polish jobs that help this out a ton, but this engine, that's their Achilles heel. They don't breathe particularly well, especially when you start going with like bigger cams and stuff like that. But that said, I'd love to get that, slap a positive displacement supercharger on it, make 500 horsepower, and hopefully the equivalent in torque.
Yeah.
And that's perfect, man. Like, it's
That
uh
would be very cool.
Keith, what's going on, my man? The topic tonight was why it costs $40,000 to repair a Rivian, and how absurd that is.
Yes.
And then the next topic, because this feels like a natural transition point, is whatever topic you give to Greg.
Oh no, man, I was just about to leave.
Yeah.
Uh, well, um, Keith, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you again, bud. Um, so we were talking about the Rivian R1T. There's an article out about how a left rear quarter panel impact basically gave it $40,000 worth of damage, which is ridiculous. But that's just the way it was designed. Um, the next topic was the Toyota 4Runner is out for 2024, and it has one single change. It is a color option for the TRD Pro called Terra. It's like a terracotta kind of color. That's it. And one thing that I didn't mention on that is basically when you get these cars that are sort of towards the end of their life cycle and they have no changes or one change, they're basically just trying to get rid of inventory at that point for a refresh. And as we know, the Tacoma was just so what we're looking at is probably a 2025 all new Toyota 4Runner, which is cool. And I'm interested to see what it looks like because the new Tacoma looks very interesting. Looks very new Tundra, if you will, boxier, kind of cool like that. But I love the current gen 4Runner. I'll be sad to see it go. Like I do want one, honestly. As much as I love this car, it is nice. And that's sort of both a blessing and a curse right now because I have two young boys, 6 and 4. Well, one of them is going to be 6 in November, first week of November. So he's essentially 6 to me. So 6 and 4, and they don't really know how to treat a car yet. I'm teaching them and everything, but like they're at the end of the school day. They come home, they get out of the car, and they like they scuff a floorboard with their feet or whatever. They maybe touch the car as they walk by or whatever. They're not like doing a ton of niceties to the car, if you will. They're not enthusiasts yet. I'm trying to make them enthusiasts because I love cars, and if they don't want to be, that's fine. But I'm trying to make them at least at the minimum respectful to cars, right? It would be really nice to have an older 4Runner that I think is a really nice, SUV truck that I like that could be a great daily. Again, as I said earlier in the stream, I don't really have a huge commute, and that SUV would tick a lot of boxes for me. Good looking, off-road capable. Doesn't have to have a ton of gas mileage because I don't really drive very long distances. MPG doesn't matter to me, quite frankly. Regular gas would be great. So like an older 4Runner makes a lot of sense for me, in the $20,000 to $25,000 range. Sell this, have some money left over, and get like kind of a fun sports car on the side. So like, I don't know. It is something that I bounce back and forth with, especially because the 4Runner is such a capable, attractive looking, reliable, good SUV, honestly. And like I would have the space to do, quite frankly, whatever the hell I want. So yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting. But the 4Runner is it is gone as a in my opinion, as of 2024, when 2024 ends, it'll be done. Um, and I'll probably have a new one in 2025. Well, we got some new people on stream. What is up? Let's see what we got here. I want to say Nick Cherry. Oh, Nick Chima. Good show. Thank you, Nick, over on YouTube. Welcome and thanks for watching. Please stick around. We're usually here every Monday at 8:15 Eastern time or 8:15, 8:30. We just had a couple things come up personally, so we're here Wednesday this week. So welcome. Thanks for watching. We also have Gerald slash Judy Nachtman over on Facebook. What do you do when you go to a car automotive place to have one thing fixed and then they go hunting to find something else to fix to get money out of you? What do you do? Stop going there. No, everything you said is incorrect. So when you go, I mean, I'm joking. Like you're not incorrect. However, if you go to a car automotive place and you go in for new brake pads, they're going to inspect your rotors. They're going to inspect the brake lines. They're going to inspect the brake fluid, maybe. And if you haven't done any of those things in a while, or it looks like there's wear there, to the point where it's not safe, they're going to recommend you do them. Um, other thing, like if there's a hole in the bottom of your engine, yeah, they're going to tell you about it. So you probably should get that fixed or get a new car. But it also, if you go in for an oil change and they're saying, "Oh man, you need like $3,000 worth of work in this area," like get an itemized list, look it over yourself, and then be like, "I'm not so sure that I really need to do all this stuff." That's the way to go. Um, don't necessarily stop going there. They may be trying to get money from you, sure, but that's a pretty negative way to look at it. They also might be trying to help you. Just saying. It is something that people, mechanics do make money on that kind of stuff. If you go to independent shops, obviously they make more money that way. But if you go to a dealer, they don't make any more money selling you on, oh, we need to, those guys are by the hour from the dealer. They're not, if they try to upsell you on like, oh, you need new pads and rotors and stuff, they're not making money on that. Like they're just noticing things. That's all it is. So just take everything with a grain of salt and look it over yourself. Become very, very well versed in cars. That's the best thing you can do. Let's see. Oh, new topics. Motorcycles. Go from Anthony. And then tags Chad. Miata. NA or NB Miata. Chad comes back saying, I will touch on this in a minute. Um, Interesting. Uh, Keith goes, flip cars, man. Owned over 80 sports cars now. Enjoy them for a little, sell them for more. That's not a bad idea, quite frankly. And most people can do that. They just don't know how to. I also just don't have the time to do that either. As I said, I have two young children. I don't have time for anything. But I love my kids, so I like making time for them instead. Also beer, but this isn't beer, this is juice. Um, let's see. What's wrong with that? You thinking more like a K truck. Ooh, K trucks are cool. I don't care what anyone says. Little tiny mini trucks from Japan, very awesome. I'm a huge fan of those. I've seen a couple because they're going to be becoming more affordable to import, and all the ones from the 90s that are like stupid reliable. Um, what's the one? It's like Subaru Sambar. Those are like becoming more reliable, and they are becoming more easy to import because of the chicken tax and the 25-year rule and whatever. Um, bread juice. Yeah, Anthony, it's bread juice. Exactly. It's exactly what it is. Um, K trucks are so cool. They honestly are. They're low horsepower, tiny little things. Some of them still have like 5 foot beds, which is the crazy thing. Like you can take them to Home Depot and like load them up, and they'll do whatever you want. Um, oh man, wow, Keith, fourth due tomorrow. Congratulations on being a 4X dad. Good job. Work on all my whips after they go down. To bed. We're a big car family. My oldest helps me turn wrenches sometimes. That's I'm gonna go ahead and just love that comment. Wish I could like it twice. That is exactly what we should be doing. That's what I'm hoping mine will do um when they get a little older. And it's funny, I was out here, so I try to like take care of my car as best I can. I give it washes and stuff. I do take it through the scratch wash, but honestly, like there is not much swirling on this paint. It's from 2016. There are not many scratches on this thing. I protect it. So I was out here doing a 3-in-1 spray the other day, and I'm just doing the normal thing, spray it down, do a microfiber, and then do a dry microfiber to get it like nice and coated. Do a nice little coating before the winter. I'll hit it again in maybe like December, January, do the same thing. Just protect the paint a little bit before, all the craziness happens. They're like, "Dad, can we fix your car?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" So I bring my tools out and they're digging here in the wheel well with all the tools, like trying to like turn the wrench, like they weren't doing it like for real. But my buddy Sean, who actually works at Volvo Cars East Hanover, where I get the XC90 service, and I'm taking this for service as well. He's a friend of mine now. He came over to my house and actually did a new starter on the XC90 because the starter went bad, just in the garage here. And the boys came out and they're like fixing my car as Sean fixed the other car, which is really cool. So they're like digging in the wheel wells. They're getting super dirty. I took like a video. I took pictures of it. It was awesome. So like trying to like get them interested in doing things like that is cool. And I'm glad that your kid and your oldest comes and turns wrenches with you. Hopefully when they're a little older, I'll have more time to like turn wrenches myself and like do a project car. What I'd love to do is um have a project car for them to like build as they get older. So maybe when they're like 8 or 9, get like a project car, chuck it in the garage here, and then like it could be like a dad and son kind of project. I think that'd be really cool. Chad, have you returned, sir?
No.
No, haha. Because now it's your turn to be entertaining. Ready, go.
All right. Couple things. One, like, yeah, I mean that's how I learned how to do stuff with cars and all this other stuff, and then where my passion came from was working on cars with my dad. And I think it's really cool. Greg's kids show interest in cars and stuff like that because not a lot. Um, but at any rate, Anthony over in chat, like, so to give you an idea, context of what that was, if you weren't kind of looking, um, one of the builds I really want to do at some point is take a small car and stuff in like a boosted motorcycle engine, get 350-ish horsepower, that sort of a thing. I know built Busa motors can handle up to like 400 in like as streetable. And then Anthony suggested first or second gen Miata, and my response was obviously to me that's too obvious. Um, I like the idea of it, but I've never been a big Miata uh, fan. I'm nothing against what they are, or if you like them, or any of that sort of stuff. Like that's cool. To me, number one, I've just never been a big fan of convertibles in general, especially if I'm going to do like a performance build. I like I like coupes better. It's just simple as that. Doug goes, smart car, aren't they rear wheel drive? Yes, they are, and there's a shit ton of conversion kits out there to do a bike engine in them. The only acceptable smart car is stocked painted like one of those toy cars we had as kids, the Tyke car, whatever it was. Um, no, I was thinking like a small classic. So like if you did like an MGB coupe, uh, with like modernish suspension, small, lightweight. You're eliminating electronic British old school British electronics, which will make the car more reliable. something like that. It's an engine that I've been thinking about for that Dream 510 build that I've mentioned uh, that I've mentioned a ton here on stream. Uh, like to the point where I think I've gone down the rabbit hole of like looking at these like built motors, Triumph GT6, like that stuff's up there. Um, I think it would like even on a more like I like the way they look. I'm just not. I don't know if I'm a fan of them, but like I like something like the GT86, BRZ, FRS, whatever the hell Tobaru wants to call them, are all things options. Sorry, I don't know what it is about being on. I don't know if it's the lighting or something being about stream, but it like just brings my allergies out. So if you see me like scratching my eyes or like this or like losing my train of thought, it's thanks to that. Um, it's been better than it has been though. I'll do that. Uh, but like the idea of having something with like a Hayabusa engine, it's like 11, 12,000 RPM. Uh, like having something that high revving that is like super appealing to me. Um, there was actually Anthony. Now that you mention it, there was a company uh, that company called Miata, which legitimately took a Miata and or not a Miata chassis and put in. They used to actually had pictures of it. Let's see here. There was pictures of it actually in the engine. I can't seem to find at the moment, but like so like if I was to ever do like an NA Miata, it would be over the top, and it would more than likely be it would end up being. Oh, it would help if I. It would end up being like this version of it, which I will be perfectly honest, I'm not opposed to. Um, but that's like the only way, like, because you see it had like the hard top, and I think it'd be cool to get that in like exposed carbon and stuff like that. Um, Keith goes an R1 crossplane motor and an RX-8. That's actually not a bad idea, and I love the fact that you know that motor exists. Um, to those of you who might not be into bikes or cars in general, but most four cylinders, if not every four cylinder you've ever driven, are flat plane, which is interesting. Like when you think flat plane in a V8 is like, oh my gosh, or whatever. But like every four cylinder has it, just the nature of the engine. Um, Manual transmission kind of that's dead. Let's see here. Over on YouTube, Connor goes build a sleeper van to have for the kids. I'm thinking for Greg. Um, Honestly, that's a great idea. Uh, I love the fact that like minivans are sort of becoming what wagons were 20 years ago. So that's kind of funny to me. Um, MG Midget, possibly. Uh, can you afford a BMW Isetta? It'd be fun for a booster swap. Is that the Urkel mobile? Um, yeah. Funny, but no. The fact that that's a BMW always was weird to me, but like they're interesting and that sort of stand, but nah. Um, Nash is a great idea. Nashes in general are expensive as hell. And then Steve goes that's a death trap, and then Connor replies, "But there's no such thing as a death trap." Um, uh, Keith over on, let's see here. Anthony goes, Steve, I like bikes. I got a dual sport and a cruiser. Keith goes, check out Legends race cars. Most of them, it's an old Ford Coupe with an FZ09 motor in it. I have seen those. I think that's a really cool form of motorsport. Um, it's one of those forms of motorsport that I wonder if they could get on like if you could do like a road course variant, because I think it would be a nice inexpensive way to go like road course racing. That said, I'd love to try my hand at it some point, because it looks fucking awesome. Um, Kawasaki VN 800A. Keith goes, I've owned over 70 bikes too. Jesus, man. The crossplane is insane. One of the few bikes that scared me. And it makes a really interesting noise, which I'm about. Because, like I said, like one of the potential cars this would go in would be like that 510 build I've always talked about. The Hayabusa scream doesn't fit with the car. So that more like thumpy, deeper tone is definitely something that's like really cool. And that crossplane engine is I forget the logic behind it, but it's such a cool engine because it's one of the most unique four cylinders ever made. Greg's back. Um,
Motorcycles are dumb. Grow up. Drive a car.
and Anthony left the chat. That's another
No,
one.
I just wanted to say that because of the Top Gear thing when they did the bicycle PSAs. They're like, stop riding a bicycle. Grow up. Get a car.
Yeah.
One of the best Top Gear bits ever. It was so good.
Yeah. Keith goes, there's a Mini Cooper out there with the ZX10 motor. Yeah, I think one of the Utah crew that Greg mentioned earlier had I think it was a Busa powered Mini. But like that's another one that's really, really cool idea, like a classic Mini with that engine in it. Classic Minis are cool as hell. They're just too classic, if that makes any sense. Like just the way like
Yeah, they are literally death traps.
um shoot, I want to find that comment. Hold on.
But most things pre 1970s are death traps, quite frankly.
Yeah. Well, it's not even just the death trap. It's just like the daintiness of the shifter, right? Like, obviously, I'd want
Oh
a
yeah,
newer
yeah.
shifter, and I'd want it in a more modern location, right?
Sure.
But yeah, I don't
To
know.
steal Project Binky.
What is that? Sounds familiar.
Project Binky? That's the one that it took them like 8 years to build that like classic mini. I forget what YouTube channel it was on. Uh Project Binky. Let's see. It was on maybe Project Binky is the YouTube channel. Hang on. Loading, loading. Come on, internet. Bad Obsession Motorsport.
Okay.
Um, they did Project Binky is a Austin Mini GT4.
Huh. I mean, just from the looks of the one picture with the exhaust, it looks freaking awesome. But yeah,
It's ridiculous. It is literally a to the studs restoration build. And it's an actual
oh,
build,
so
like
it's
Austin Mini GT4 turbocharged four-wheel drive. The thing's nuts. It is nuts, and it's
fucking
been like it's been many years in the making, many years.
so it's a full on restoration,
Um,
or
oh yeah, but this isn't like just a full-on restoration. This is like we're gonna buy this old mini and turn it into like the craziest thing ever. Like I'm looking at their YouTube channel. The first video on this thing was 10 years ago, and they're still building it.
huh,
But they're not like they're not doing like It's not like Tavarish or B is for Bill. They're not churning stuff out. Um, it is out of pure love that they're doing this. Like they're fabricating stuff themselves. They're doing this. They're doing this because they want to, not because they have to, right? Like if you go back, many years ago, 10 years ago, it was getting like 300,000 views or whatever, but like the first episode got 1.8 million, then a million, then 1.1 million, then 865,000, 800,000, 800,000, 900,000, a million. Like people have been following this for a decade. Like they want to see this thing done. And they're still building it. 5 months ago was the last video on it. Episode number 38. But like it's nuts. It's probably I mean I would say it's probably the coolest mini in the world.
My
And it's worth checking out the whole series.
so so basically, it's a. I forgot if you mentioned this. Sorry, I was looking at something else. It's a. So when they're done, it's going to be as it was when it left the factory.
Oh no. It's
Okay,
it's a resto mod.
gotcha.
Like this thing is it's a turbo all-wheel drive GT4 Austin Mini. So like a legit old Mini. Um but like the thing is it's more powerful. They've done everything to it, and they've wide bodied it with fender flares. Like it's pretty nuts, honestly. Like it's one of those things where I mean I haven't watched it in a long time. I got to go back and watch the whole series again. But if you're looking for just a good build to watch, it is probably one of the top five best ever on YouTube. Just because of like the attention to detail. They go into like so much in the videos. Like the videos are 40 minutes long a piece. It's not like short little 12-minute videos with some, like how we would make a build video. Like, hey, today we're replacing the center console in our V70R or whatever. And it's just, an explanation, some spliced together B-roll, some time lapse and stuff like that, and then here's your 12-15 minute video. Like no, they go like in depth on like a lot of stuff, like why things are happening, what they're doing. They're like, here's the subframe restoration. Like it's very in depth. It's very cool. It's worth every minute of the
And
watch.
what engine are they putting in it?
I don't remember. I don't think I watched up until they put the engine in. I'm trying to find it. I mean, it says turbocharged four-wheel drive, which it obviously never had. Um,
They're going all-wheel drive.
yeah, turbo. It's the Mini GT4. So like, they're putting in an all-wheel drive drivetrain. Trying to find. Maybe there's like a web page on it. Let me see.
Huh. While you're doing that,
Oh, badobsessionmotorsport.com. Look, they even have a website.
um,
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that. You do other
counterpoint to
things.
that. My favorite built mini on the internet is the MCM one with the B16B swap.
Ooh, that's cool.
And it's crazy how tiny of a motor that is, and how much modification to the chassis they had to make it fit. Um, it
Which I could imagine was a lot.
But like in its original build, guys, it was a modern mini, a supercharger off of a modern mini, a, with an adapter bolted onto a classic mini four cylinder.
Oh, that's cool.
Steve asks, kind of off topic, but just to continue conversating. It's just a thought, but if I turboed my K block in my CRV with the CVT trans leave chat, I don't know how strong they are. From a, could it handle the power? Um, But I would personally look into like the price of that turbo kit's not going to be cheap. Probably get a fun little car. Like again, it's not necessarily for me, but it's people can. I will never tell people not to do it. You could go out and find an NA Miata, get a K, and do the swap because believe it or not, you can go on K Miata or Google K Miata, and they'll sell you all the stuff to do it. And it's a pretty simple swap. You just need to source a BMW 5-speed, I believe, manual transmission to hold the to work. But that would be, I mean, enjoy the NA Miata for a while, and then put a K in that, and you'll have way more fun than a CRV.
Definitely yes.
Keith chimes in and
I'm trying
says,
to find
I think
something
it would
else.
be fine. Honestly, those Hondas are built tough and cheap. Um, I don't think necessarily, like, keep in mind, like, it's probably not running a ton of compression. I don't know off the top of my head, but you still would go with like a low boost setup. And most of those transmissions into modern cars like are built to go in a myriad of vehicles. So like that CVT might be bolt on to like a V6 or something that has significantly more torque, instant torque. Uh, Low down torque is what breaks things, and where you got to beef things up. Steve goes to find if I find a fun car, I would try to find a Thunderbird SC. I mean, again, it's what makes cars great. Like you can, our definitions of fun differ, and that's totally okay.
Right.
Um,
The engine Project Binky is a motor out of a Celica GT4, by the way.
the
Yes.
rally car,
Well, they made Celica GT4s for Europe. They just never came here.
a 3S GTE.
Oh, man, I just closed it. I want to say yes or something like that.
I mean, it's either that or yeah, it's a 3S GTE.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, so the whole thing is they wanted to make one of the world's fastest minis, and that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, you need to find the link where they were going over the engine specs because that's the shit I nerd out on. But
Yeah,
I'll give
there's
you
one of the
guys,
episodes
I'll
that
give
did
you
that.
guys a little insight. The 3S GTE is the 4 cylinders. What the 2J is the straight sixes. It's
Hmm.
they are monumentally strong, um, and that's like 350 horsepower without breaking a sweat. 600 horsepower with minimal mods. Here, let me tell you how good of an engine the 3S GTE is. If you've paid attention to our reels, you'll notice Greg and I tested one a few days ago, a week ago, about the Mark IV Supra. Everybody knows it. Everybody has an opinion on it. The birth the 2JZ and it became that's a tuning monster of an engine. 6, 7, 800 horsepower without really trying. Uh, you know.
But
But when Toyota themselves wanted to build a car for the Japan Super GT series in the GT 500 class to take on the all-conquering R32 GTR and its forthcoming R33, they ditched the 2J and put a 3S GTE in it. And it was a very, I mean, its first year, it dominated the GTR, but McLaren thought it would be fun to put a F1 in Super GT, just detune the engine, and that team dominated. That's where a lot of the Lark liveries come from, by the way. But when they left the following year, the Supras for the next 2 3 years were the cars to beat with a 3S GTE. They are crazy strong. That engine is I'm guessing based on everything they're talking about, that's going to be at least a 500 horsepower engine. That's nuts. I might need to pay attention to
Yeah.
this build now.
Oh yes, it's been going on for 10 years, so don't get your hopes up. But I mean, you at least have 38 episodes to watch if you're interested.
Yeah. Going back, Steve goes, like I said, it was a thought. Look, man, everyone, like, what that is something everyone should always think about. Is their cars, what they would do to them, how they would make them more them, and stuff like that. Honestly, not just thought that struck me. Turbo, lift kit, overlanding your CRV. Big knobbly tires.
That'd be very cool, honestly.
Yes, Keith goes, just make sure it's not your daily. Yeah, the joys of modifying your daily. That was almost
Ask me how I
that
know.
was almost the entire
Ask Chad how he
that was
knows.
almost the entirety of the C30 series, and I had to do it under the pressure of filming it, and I had to do it at the shop where I used to work, which meant I had to have it done by 5 o'clock in the next morning and out of there. I couldn't just let the end, like, if something was broke, figure it out the next day. So like
Yeah, that's
um,
not real.
that's that turned me off for a minute on working on my own car. I'm getting the itch. I just don't know what I would want to do first. Like,
Yeah.
because I don't really want to do too much to the like. Let me put it to you this way: things that are left for the Mustang, coilovers, brakes, even though they're not really necessary. I just want a GT. I just want Shelby brakes on my Mustang. Sue me. Um, and then it's all body.
Who
It's all
doesn't?
body work, and I can't do body work.
Right. I have to go check my child so he doesn't pee himself. I'll be right back.
Godspeed. Um, Steve, right now I'm just going to get a better brand of all-weather tires and find a good deal on rotiforms. Sorry, I shook my head and then lost my train of thought. No, that's awesome, man. Like, beautiful thing about cars, when you own one, make it yours, right? Like, it kind of becomes a one of one at that standpoint. Like, how many Mustangs are out there? A lot. How many of them are supercharged? Quite a bit. How many of them are centrifugally supercharged? A little bit less. How many of them are centrifugally supercharged with the Calmer transmission, carbon fiber drive shaft, et cetera, et cetera? Fewer. Just stop the hop kit. Fewer. With the same wheels. Like, it's pretty close that my car's a one of one as it sits in its current state of build, right? Like, does anybody outside of me care about that? No, but that's what makes it cool is the fact that it's mine, and nobody else really has anything like it out there. Well, let me rephrase that. People have things like it, but the specificity of my car, nobody has that sort of. Excuse me. There's that like build and everything like that. Yeah, I've kicked around the idea of getting a project that I could just chip away at building. I s- uh, I don't know if I'd do it just because I know the pitfalls of the P1 platform and I've been there, done that. But I did come across a high mileage V50 that got me thinking. That said, again, it's like I've kind of been there, done that. Do something different. Um, Steve goes, I want to find rotiform C4 look alike rims. Not sure what. Again, um, like Greg's choice of like. I'll give you a perfect example. Greg's choice of wheels that he put on the V70 before he put the um, pegs on it. I was on. They looked cool, but like they didn't really match up with the car. But it's Greg's car. He could do what he wants. Um, Honda EG. There's so much them. a fun and cheap build, go with it. Um, yeah, like I said, I haven't quite figured out what I want to do, what I want to like. The problem is finances. Um, you know, I'm at a stage in the Mustang where um, nothing is cheap. I think the cheapest mod I could do to the Mustang of everything I've had picked out are carbon fiber heat extractors, and even those are $500. Um, to put the carbon fiber roof in, it's $3,000 to $5,000. The front clip I want is about 6 grand. The install on that is another 10 grand. The coilovers I want are 3 to 5. The brakes I want are another 3 to 5, and that's like build done. I mean, there's some little stuff like there's a company that makes a kind of clip in, but it uses the factory stuff almost bolt in, where it converts like the front tray underneath like the infotainment and stuff like that into a wireless charging spot. I kind of really want that, and that's relatively in. Bougie build. It's not so much bougie as much as this is a dream build in a forever car, and I don't want to. Like, for example, I need to replace the front bumper on my car. Our temporary fix, because I'll give you a history lesson. Previous owner had a little bit of a fender bender, broke the clips where the bumper meets up with the headlight and the quarter panel. They had glued the ever living shit out of it, and it held well. It kind of broke off because someone bumped my bumper in a parking lot. Jeff over at Blue Sky and them, they did a temporary fix on it. Um, and that fix has now failed. Either I bumped something or someone bumped me. I don't see really any real evidence of an impact. So, like, it could just be I hit the license plate. There's a post in my garage. I could have bumped that. Who knows? But I could easily get like a 500. I could get a new front bumper, but it's not going to fit with the front clip that I want to put on it, if that makes sense. So, like, but again, that's a 16K, probably a 20K thing because I want to get the thing wrapped. I have a livery in mind, and I want to find a company that does the quarter panels, the rear quarter panels for the Mustang in carbon, because the build I want to do is exposed carbon as the base with graphics on it, but the front, believe it or not, is covered by graphics. But um, oh, I just hurt my computer. It's, Steve goes, Chad, if you do any more performance mods to your Mustangs, when you punch it, it's going to do a backflip. I am I am close to the limit of what I can do to the engine to make power without getting a built motor. Um, because it's 11 and a half to 1 compression and we're running 10, 11 pounds of boost, we are right at the knock. We're safely there, but we're right at the knock threshold. And Coyotes, so like the cylinder pressure is ridiculous right now, but it handles it fine. So things I could do to make more power aren't that plentiful. It would basically be airflow. So we're talking better front mount intercooler, switching to a aluminum intake manifold. Even though my manifold flows pretty dang good, I have more performance oriented intake manifold that I don't want to get rid of the chassis brace going over the front, the strut bar. So it'd have to be low profile, but those flow air better. Either ported and polished heads or voodoo heads with stage stage 3, or no, sorry, stage 2 blower cam, aka a cam designed specifically for boost. And even then, we're talking about like 70 wheel horsepower gains. Is that cool? Yeah. Is that push me well over 800 horsepower at the crank? Hell yeah. Is it something? I mean, the car makes 705 at the tire, which is close to, if not a little bit over, 800 horsepower at the crank. That's enough for now. The goal for this car is to have it look like a GT 500 in the front, um, and I haven't decided, but my plan was 500 in the front, 350 in the back. Obviously, the carbon fiber roof. I'd like to have that middle section, so inside the wheels, be carbon fiber. Um, because naked carbon, because I would eventually like to do the Lark livery on it, and I would like, instead of charcoal in the Lark livery, I would like that to be naked carbon, which I have a sneaking suspicion DDE is doing to the 720 GTR, but I don't care. I love that livery. But like when I said when I oh, this isn't the right. Oh, they're up that. But like when I say quarter panel, um, like when I say quarter panel, like that, like this whole section, this piece. A lot of companies sell this piece in sheet metal, but like I would like from like here-ish. So like the liver I like covers up here and comes a little into here, and then it comes into here. With this would be all be carbon. Um, but that's way down the road. I want to get the GT350 brakes, not because I need the stopping power, but because these brakes are so, like, they don't fit with the wheel. The wheel is so deep, and it's only a 19, but there's such a gap between the rotor and the wheel that it looks weird. That's a probably the only like vanity mod where it's not necessary, but I do it because it make it look better. Um, Keith, yes, livery wrap. Literally doing one right now on my Audi TT. That's 100% the plan. Um, and but like I said, the front bumper is. I don't know. Do I have any pictures? Uh oh. Ah, good. We're here. My computer freaked out for a second. Sorry, chat. Build videos. I don't know. I can't find it. Carbon fiber roof. Steve asks. That sounds very expensive. Uh, yeah, I don't know what just happened. We just had a massive drop in bit rate. Uh, Here. Um, Carbon fiber roof. That sounds very expensive. It was. I can show you. It is that. It is about 8 feet below me and about 15 or so, 16 feet or so in that direction. But I have it. It's just apparently when you do the roofs on the S550s, it's very easy to crack the windshield. So there's a new windshield built into that price. But yeah, it was about $1,200. So it's not actually too bad in the grand scheme of things. But it has started like this love affair with carbon to where I've like looked at doors, quarter panels, um, all this stuff. Uh, I would love to. Steve goes, look up Hawk performance for your brakes. I think I have.
Yeah, Hawk makes good stuff.
But literally, the swap kit is just literally. I'm gonna draw a blank. It's where your calipers bolt into. Fuck, what it's can't remember what it's called. Carriers. It's literally a conversion carrier kit, so that you can run the 15 and a half front rotors and 14 and a half rear rotors from the GT350. So, um, you know, if I wanted to, in theory, if I tracked the shit out of it, I could go carbon ceramic, but probably not. Just big steelies. I thought the pillars are going to be carbon as well. That's the thing, Steve. Like, when that's why I said, like, for the livery to work and like have it here, I want this piece in naked carbon because it wraps all the way up over the A pillar, so that this is carbon, that's carbon, this is carbon, and then the livery would just lay over, like I said, kind of a little in front of the rear wheel, but like this would be exposed, the trunk would be exposed, the bumper gets covered with livery, so that, but like the back here, all carbon. Like I said, the roof is carbon. And like I said, the front end, there's really only one spot that isn't covered with livery. And that would be a carbon fiber heat extractor anyway. So that's, in theory, the dream for the, excuse me, for the Mustang as far as its final form. But this is all a long-winded way of saying I would love to play around with another little project car that I didn't really care so much about. Um, but I think my eyes are outdoing my stomach at the moment for the stuff. But that's the way I want the build to be. I want to be able to sit here and go, it's like, like I have the carbon fiber roof. It's like, that was awesome. Then I have, the next phase. Like, you guys know how much I put into this. I put just in parts 29K. And it took me
Yeah.
2 years. So,
More than that, 2.5 to 3.
well, I got the car to get
You got the
everything
car in
installed. It was about,
2019, right?
yeah, at the very tail end, like
Yeah.
literally weeks before COVID fucked us.
Yeah, right.
Or no, about a month. At any rate, but like the point is like this is a dream build. I want when it's done. I don't like so with the C30, right? I would always do a mod and be like, man, I kind of wish I had done something different, or I wish I had done this, or I wish I had done that, and everything.
Right.
And I don't want that with this car. I want every little piece to like look at it from every little angle and be like, that's freaking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Like and then just like it drive by and like people think like that's a 500, but it looks a little different, or it's like, but like that's the biggie for me with
Yeah.
with this. But like the point of the matter is like I'm willing to do that as opposed to like, for example, like nothing against the physical parts themselves. The physical parts were fine. Customer service was a bit of an issue with Elevate, but I wish I had the wherewithal, the financial wherewithal to explore other companies, right?
Yeah.
Like do 88 for the intercooler, Anybo, or I forget how to pronounce it, for the intake manifold, like all that stuff. It is what it is. We live and we learn. That car was fun. The relationships along the way were awesome.
Yeah.
And Steve, now I want a carbon roof. LOL. I'm sacrificing my sunroof. I mean, let me put it this way: if someone makes it, they probably make one with the sunroof. But I mean, yeah, I mean, your car, it's a crossover, so it's got a lot of weight up high. You want to reduce. You want to bring your CG down. But that's the funniest thing about the carbon. I guess it again. It's another. I guess you could say it's partly vanity. Because is it necessary? Like, is there a massive performance gain by going with a carbon fiber roof? Like, is that a steel roof that I'm going to shave 10, 15 pounds off of? No. I'm shaving like 3 pounds, maybe.
Yeah, it's 100% a vanity thing, honestly. But quite frankly, um, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Because it's like,
These didn't come with my car. Do you think that this is saving any weight whatsoever with a carbon fiber mirror cap? Fuck no. It just looks awesome.
right.
I'm,
I can't.
I'm gonna carbon fiber all of the things. Why not?
I was thinking about going CF with my mirror caps too. I'm not 100% sure on that yet. Like, here's the other thing. Like, I could get. There are, like, my car, if you do the carbon fiber heat extractors, looks really, really good. So, like, I could do a stopgap of. But, like I said, I don't want to get a new bumper and, like, have it go through the whole point of painting everything and then replace it in, like, 2 years. But, like,
Yeah.
carbon roof, carbon mirrors, carbon heat extractors would look awesome on the car as it sits now.
Yeah, that would look awesome. Agree.
Um, and Keith, you bite your tongue here at Shifting Lanes Garage. And the funniest thing about this is as I look down and point my finger, I'm looking at fake carbon fiber, but we do not put fake carbon fiber on our cars.
That's
Like,
funny.
I'm not kidding, chat. Like, that's. I can see if I can get a good picture. That's my desk.
Literally.
It's,
That's not real.
that's
That's
not
how
real.
the desk came.
You know, believe it or not, I actually called, like, because of what I just said to Keith. I called the company. I go, can I just get it painted or have like some other wrap on it? They're like, no, man, you don't want that carbon fiber look. I go, look, I'm a car guy, and I have this thing where it's real or it isn't. But legitimately, I could not find a desk this size with like the way it's situated for
Yeah.
this price without getting it like this. So it's like, all right, I'll deal with. I mean, it's textured. It's actually like
Dude, an actual carbon fiber desk would be ruinously expensive though. Let me get see
and
like
such a
carbon
flex.
fiber desk.
It's like the people who get the carbon fiber like toilet seats.
Right. Carbon fiber desk. Let's see. No, they're actually not that bad. But I would imagine most of these are wraps. I mean, most of the a lot of the stuff that's coming up Wayfair. Yeah, that's not real. Um, Amazon, that's not real. Secret Lab. Isn't
Zoom.
yours Secret Lab?
No, mine's not Secret Lab, but Secret Lab is they make good desks, but
I was gonna say
99%.
that's probably legit.
All right. So,
An
oh,
actual carbon fiber desk. Really curious. Just to see like like the sports desk. Like there's no need for this. Desks. Let's see. Desks. Can I sort by material? I cannot. Maybe I can do an actual search. Carbon fiber. One result found.
I'm just sorting by.
Oh, it's definitely a wrap. It's like a weave kind of thing. It's not real. It's in the FAQs. Should I choose Secret Lab Neo Hybrid Leatherette or Secret Lab Soft Weave Plus Fabric? Definitely a fabric, not an actual carbon fiber.
Yeah. Some of this stuff is expensive. I'm like, oh, this is over $1,000. Oh, that desk would fill my entire room.
Yeah.
Um, maybe personal workstation, desktop. All right, this says Halo in it.
Carbon fiber textured. I don't want textured. I want an actual carbon fiber desk. Now I'm just very curious to see what it would
Yeah.
cost to make a carbon fiber desk. Ooh, interesting. Carbon touch. This is holy shit. Okay. This is more of what I was looking for. Carbon touch.eu. Carbon fiber desk. The carbon fiber desk is an elegant design made of 100% genuine carbon fiber with a thickness of only 3 millimeters. It's like basically a squared U, So it's like this.
Yeah.
This is like the shape, right? 11,490 euros. That's what I was thinking. It's like a $10,000 desk. Like totally unnecessary. Like just absolutely unnecessary. That is that is
That's why I said
freaking
like it.
hysterical.
That's what I said. It's like a massive flex.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's only for flex. There's zero reason to have a carbon fiber table of any kind. I'm literally my whole setup right now is on a folding table that you can get for $30 at Costco. Like
Yeah.
no one needs a carbon fiber desk. That's not even real.
No, but you know how they say if I won the lottery, there'd be signs.
Yeah, there would be signs. Carbon fiber desk. Yes, agree.
I would. I don't know if maybe a carbon fiber desk, but you know what I would want more is a a wall in my office that's not sheetrocked, that is actual carbon
It's
fiber.
just carbon fiber. It would be absolutely sweltering in the summer and frigid in the winter because there's zero
All
insulation.
right, so you put it on top of fucking sheetrock. You know what I mean? Like to make it work as a
Yeah, I
thing.
know.
Like
I know.
you know,
Doug, thank you for the 100 stars towards our carbon fiber desk chairs.
yeah. I read that and I was like, I thought he was like to go towards your horrible carbon fiber addiction. But you telling me it wouldn't be sweet? Like, think of it, right? Like, or maybe like the pool room, right? Like for
Yes.
uh and you go and you put instead of like leather wrap, like you know how our buddy Alex's parents' pool room, it's leather on the bottom half.
Yes.
Imagine that, but like carbon fiber.
That would be very
Like,
sick.
uh
That would be very sick.
Keith,
Even especially if it was like forged carbon fiber. If it wasn't just like the weave, but if it like
yeah, I like
but
I
like
love
certain house products in forged carbon fiber would be really
see
cool.
that was the thing. It's like so I knew like the roof was going to be one of the hardest things to source in carbon for the Mustang. Like there's only a few people out there doing it. And so it's like because they make forged carbon and everything else, with the exception being like the
Yeah.
rear quarter panel in that section. But like I really wanted to go like forged carbon because of how it like I love that sort of like stone look, like it's got depth to it. Like
Yeah.
um I saw another one. Keith goes, all right, that's it. Shut the channel down and open a business for carbon fiber desks. Be right back. Purchasing an autoclave.
Doug, I have Tiffany's whiskey glasses. They're 100% a flex, but I do pretend they make the drink better. They are thinner than the cheaper glasses. Yeah, I mean, any of that stuff is really a flex, right? I mean, you don't need Tiffany's drinking glasses. You need a whiskey grail. That's pretty much it. And you're good to go.
Um, Real quick. Steve goes, if you can afford to do that, buy a house and sell where you're at. I'm not really 100% knowing which comment of mine you made that towards. Let me be perfectly clear. I cannot afford to make an entire wall out of carbon fiber at the moment.
I like Connor's comment of carbon fiber house. Let's do it.
I mean,
Make it happen.
carbon. Oh, there's the business idea, Greg. Carbon fiber he sheds. We would have a line of guys wanting to, or
Yes.
carbon fiber siding, but like designed exactly like a vinyl siding, but made out of carbon fiber.
Yes. Carbon fiber man caves.
Um, Keith goes, y'all gonna hate this, but I wrapped my EG in complete forged carbon fiber. People went crazy over it, and I sold it pretty high. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and say that like take it from someone who spent a significant chunk of his life researching carbon fiber parts for all of his cars, since like commercial carbon fiber became a thing. I totally understand if you want that look and you go the budget route. I totally get it. It's one of those complexes in this brain to where, like, I couldn't do the body mods on the Mustang without the performance to back it up. Like in my head, if I just slapped a GT500 front end on my Mustang and it didn't have the same horsepower, or it didn't, like, it had stock horsepower, that would be farcical to me. Like, I'm not saying this is right or what anybody else should think. I'm saying that's how my brain works. So, like, if it looks the part, it's got to be the part. And I understand that that has, like, really delayed a lot of things with the Mustang build, but it's just what I want. It's just like we were talking about with Steve before and the wheels he wants for his CRV. It may not be my cup of tea, but if he loves it, go for it. Like the Thunderbird, all that other sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, I can't afford to do a carbon fiber wall. I would say I would. Number one, I'm actively looking to get a new house anyway. But number two, I would have like a really nice house with a massive garage, and like my man cave would be part office, part like billiards room, and there would be a what I think I always thought would be kind of cool is like a carbon fiber wall, with like a carbon fiber wall and like let's just because this hypothetical house that doesn't exist and likely will never exist would have a studio in it. So like Greg would be forced by rule to come over and do our show in the studio. But then again, if I hit like Powerball and like was making millions of dollars just on the interest for that, Greg would have a salary to where he didn't have to work.
Correct. Like this would be my job. Yeah, so that I'm very okay with. Thank you, Steve, for the 100 stars for the he shed investment. You guys are great. I love that. It's honestly not a bad business idea, quite frankly. Because I mean, how many dudes have sheds, and how many dudes would like a man cave,
Right.
and how many dudes would love a carbon fiber man cave, and or he shed? I would wager several 100,000.
Yeah, so what were the dimensions on the desk so we could price this accordingly? It's like, what are you getting? Oh, I'm getting this 100 square foot he shed. How much is that going to cost you? $175,000. It's like,
Yeah,
follow up
exactly.
question. What?
Follow question. Why? Because sports shed. Shut up. Get in.
Oh man.
Because weight savings. Meanwhile, in the Midwest, headline: several thousand carbon fiber sheds destroyed by tornado.
Carbon fiber sharded tornado decimates Missouri town.
Yeah, not exactly the best thing to put in Tornado Alley.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. That's why God invented
Yeah,
concrete.
that's right.
Anywho,
Anywho,
oh, excuse me.
well, I think that yawn is saying it is time.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. Lastly, Bacana over on YouTube. I too want a house if I could have it my way. Big garage that doubles as a small drive-in theater. Awesome.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, like I'm talking like okay, hypothetically speaking, it would be about the width of a 5-car garage. The furthest from the street would be one of those tall, like I forget how high they are, but like we'll call it 10 or 12 foot garage door that's the width of 2 garage doors. Just
Yeah.
if I have a lifted truck or something. 3 more garage doors. The whole thing would be 2-story in height. And then you'd have walk in like to first floor, but like there would be a balcony overlooking the garage from the second floor. What that would be for, I have no idea. But I just want
Just to lord over the peasants.
it. Hey, Greg, I noticed you haven't cleaned my cars yet. Let's go.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Right away, sir.
All right, guys. Thank you to everyone who did stars. We're gonna wrap it up here. Good stream. Good stream over on YouTube tonight and the Facebook OGs
Yeah.
as always. Thank you so much. It's been a
Thank you
pleasure.
all for joining.
I'd just like to say real quick before we head out, I do want to apologize with our availability being weird over the last 3 weeks. Real world stuff gets in the way.
Yeah, it's mostly me, guys. My job sucks right now.
But trying to get to a schedule and like trying to do like more solo streams, even if they're a little shorter or something like that when Greg can't go on a week or something like that.